How's it going? Rocking? Doing
Rocking.
it?
We're doing it. We're doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. This is Cam Gwynn. You stumbled upon the YouTube page that talks a lot about a little, and today I am talking with a good friend of mine, Mitch Brown. He is the owner of Victory Within Life Coaching. He is a good friend of mine. We've been friends since high school and seen a lot together. So,
Yeah.
how are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. I'm glad that we got to set this up kind of last minute. We've been talking about it for a while, but we're
Yeah,
actually
for
doing
real.
it now.
Good to do a
So,
talk.
so we've obviously known each other for a long time. You originally went into school thinking that you were going to be a finance person, and then came out with a psychology degree, and you've been getting certified in all kinds of different things since then. And I kind of wanted to touch on because you want to do most of your work with like younger, like teenagers, high schoolers type age range to try to figure out, where they're at in life and maybe help them along the way. Was it tough for you going into school and then having to switch majors and stuff like that? Because I know a lot of people our age have dealt with that, or, I haven't had to deal with that, so I wanted to hear it.
Yeah, good question. I think the actual switching over from finance to psychology wasn't very difficult because psychology, the major, at least through the school I went to, was there wasn't a ton of credits, so it wasn't like I was behind very much. I think I was a junior when I decided to switch out of originally economics, then switched to
Economics.
finance. And it wasn't very hard of a transition um, because there's not a ton of credits in the major category for psychology. So it wasn't too bad. I was able to graduate on time still, but it definitely did take some adjustment because psychology and finance aren't nearly the same thing by any means. But
Right.
yeah, it wasn't too tough of a transition, but it definitely was a big difference in classes for sure.
And what made you decide to make that transition into psychology?
Well, I would say originally I was always finance. My dad, being a financial manager, basically, I knew a lot about money and how to manage money when I was young, and I really enjoyed doing that. I thought that was something that was a really good skill to have. And as I got into college classes and whatnot, I enjoyed it, but I couldn't see myself really. I didn't have a passion for it. I couldn't see myself really doing it for a living. It was a good skill to know. I'm glad I took the classes I did, but it wasn't something I really wanted to do the rest of my life. So I kind of like took like a semester where I was like a non-major almost, and I was like, what do I really love to do? And one thing I realized, it hit me like a brick really, was like I really love talking to people and listening to how people and why people act and get into the things that they do. People are just very interesting. Behavior, psychology, philosophy has just always been interesting to me. I always read a bunch of philosophers' books, and watched a bunch of psychologists on YouTube or read their books, gone to talks. And I was like, I would love to go into psychology and be a counselor or something in that realm. That really intrigues me, and it still does to this day.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that kind of, has brought us together and brought us to such a close friendship is, we're both, like I would say, active listeners when it comes to conversation and stuff like that. Like we both really like to get to know people, ins and outs, and how they think and stuff like that. Because I mean, obviously, everyone thinks different, so one person's thought path isn't always correct. So you're going through college, you land into psychology. It's really your passion. You like to get to know people and everything. What led to opening, or I shouldn't say opening, but starting up your own business and becoming an owner of a life coaching business, I guess.
It really came from just looking for jobs after I graduated. I had my Indeed profile and all those recruiting websites. I had my resume up to date and looking at different jobs I could get in psychology. Um, I thought about going back to school, and I still do. I would like to just kind of get more experience in the field before I did. So I was looking for a job, and I realized one thing that a lot of people with their bachelors do is they become life coaches. And I was like, well, what the heck is this? So I did some digging and watched a couple of people that were life coaches. And in fact, in college, I had a counselor, therapist, who he approached me, and his style was life coaching over therapy. And I always liked that because it was a super like genuine, just like conversation. It wasn't like talking to a shrink. It felt like you just felt like you were talking with someone who just reasoned out your thought. So when I looked around, I was like, okay, how do I become a life coach? And a lot of it was like, well, you can just become it whenever, like however you want. And I was like, well, I'd like to go through some sort of training or education on this. And I found this really highly accoladed uh, training course that was 6 months long, and it was fairly inexpensive compared to some of them can be tens of thousands of dollars. And I was like, okay, I can afford that. And it had really good testimonials on it. So I got into it and I genuinely enjoyed it. People there were all the same way. They had a very caring attitude. They were very open-minded, and I knew I had found the right spot to kind of get there. So as I got through it, they talked to you about how to open a business, how to market yourself, what do life coaches do versus therapy, and how to properly talk to someone and go through a life coaching session. And I really enjoyed it. And that's what led to me kind of really, I'm opening this business. I think it's good.
Yeah, and you're just to kind of get like a full circle look at the business. What is the, I guess, main goal with the business?
The main goal, I guess, with the business is as simple as, it's kind of corny maybe, but to help people. But
Yeah.
really, it's to help the youth. I think through my personal experience growing up, I saw a lot of different styles of people that kind of how they grow up, a lot of different culture, a lot of different things, issues that kind of affect people. And nowadays, with new technology and culture that kind of has grown out of that new technology, it has affected kids' mental health a lot. And they can see the Bill Gates and the 25-year-old millionaires, and then they can see guys who are just bums or whatnot.
Right.
And it can affect their mental health a lot. And it kind of affects their expectations a lot. And I felt that through my struggles with that, which I felt that I struggled pretty heavily with it, I was able to really figure out what was purposeful and meaningful, and just to have a healthy and good life. And I think there's a lot of kids coming up and will continue to be that are in similar situation, and I want to be one of the people that can help guide them to a proper life. Appreciate the important things and get rid of the not so important things.
Right. And I think one interesting thing about like how, because we're like right on the edge of how these kids are starting to grow up now, because like we didn't really have all the technology in the world. We probably, I don't know about you exactly, but in middle school, I barely went on the internet at all. I was always outside
Right.
doing stuff. I was playing basketball. I was like, just doing things outside. And now it's not really like that. Everything is online. Not a lot of kids are really going outside and doing that stuff. So they are seeing a lot more things that we hadn't seen. Some of these kids are actually kind of growing up faster because of internet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it is kind of an interesting way to kind of look and try to navigate through it for a younger generation. Is there a specific way that you like to approach high schoolers when it comes to a life coaching standpoint?
There isn't a specific way I necessarily like to approach people, because just you deal with people. There are people that are just so different in how they can come across. There are people that can come across as they may be looked at as jerks, and they may not actually be jerks. They just may be kind of bold in the way they present things. They don't mean it in a mean way.
Right.
There are people who are very somber, people who are very emotionally charged when they talk. So especially when you're in high school, you let your for a lot of kids, they let their emotions drive how they present something to them. So I tend not to really approach them in a certain way. I try to kind of read them out, kind of let them be, let me be open and let them kind of explore how they want to. And through that, I can usually get a read of what's bothering this person and or what kind of personality they tend to have and what's the best way to really go from there.
Yeah. So one thing that I actually thought was kind of interesting, one of the dogs, one of the other interviews that I had done with Jay Pitts, he runs a mentorship program in Detroit, and he had worked at a psych ward for a little bit. And now you didn't quite work at a psych ward, but you worked with how exactly do I put this?
Like ABA, like
The summer
special
job that
needs.
you had before senior year.
Yeah, I was an ABA tech, so
Yes.
special needs kids, basically.
Yes. Yeah. And some of the things that you had gone through in there um, were, a little scary at times. You had some kids get aggravated with you and stuff like that. How does those situations that you were put in there, maybe kind of explain the situations further, because I'm not doing a great job of explaining them properly. But how did those situations kind of help shape the way you approach therapy, I guess?
Yeah, I get you then. So that job was probably the most meaningful job I've had to date. It really taught me you never know the background some of these kids come from. Some of these kids, they're just they were treated so poorly, and for no reason. Especially a lot of special needs kids are treated horribly,
Yeah.
like really, really, truly horribly, and it was really emotionally hard to see sometimes, and it was tough to talk to family members and parents who are going through a little bit with that and how they have to have special attention placed on them and still struggle through it. It's kind of heartbreaking almost in a way to see some of the things they struggle through. But one thing that I think I definitely learned was through them was patience. You have to be very patient in that field, and it's and that's why I think a lot of people wouldn't want to do it. And I didn't think I would want to do it because I didn't think I was a super patient person. And albeit, I think I was more than I thought, but that definitely taught me a patience of you have to just keep your demeanor cool and you have to understand what these kids are going through. Some of them come from tough backgrounds. Some don't know the skills that you take for granted. And you really just got to be careful and cautious with them. And as well as really just a joy for life. A lot of those kids, they just, it really brings back how enjoyable life can be from an innocent mind. And that's something that is actually worth, like feeling, because I think as you get older, a lot of times the burdens and responsibilities of the world place a pressure on you that can really drown you out, and it drowns a lot of people out. And I think seeing them was very enlightening. It's nice to see these kids that are willing to come learn things that they're just happy to be there. They're happy to be alive, and that's something that is worth mentioning.
And to put it in kind of short, it sounds like it's more of a get excited about the small things type of thing.
Yeah.
Like just the little things in life can bring, the most joy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's probably another reason you and I are pretty good friends is we both kind of have that. Like the little things kind of get us hyped up and riled up. It doesn't matter what it is. It could just be like literally scoring a goal in the video games or that we're playing, and we're just like, oh, dude, did you see that? Did you see that? Like, look at me, I'm sick. And we just get hyped about it. But, so, we're going to talk more. I just kind of wanted to get a little more light on what you're doing with your business and stuff like that. We're going to have more fun chats in the future and all that. Yeah. But before we probably hop on PlayStation with each other. Before we do that, what's a just positive message that you would just give to anybody?
Positive message. You never know what someone else is going through. And that guy in traffic that may have cut you off, or that guy that was being rude to someone at the store or whatnot, you don't know their life and you don't know what they've gone through sometimes. And you don't know what's going on today. Maybe they're a totally normal, nice person. Always just take care of yourself. All you can do is take care of your own actions and be nice to everyone you can, because kindness, no matter how people treat you back, is always going to get you far. Just by being good to yourself and good to others, you know. So you never know what other people are going to be like, or just keep an open mind and take care of yourself and take care of those around you.
Alrighty. And again, Mitchell Brown, Victory Within Life Coaching. I'll put a link to the website, but it's victorywithinlifecoach.com. I got business cards. So
heck yeah, I got more too. If anyone wants one, I got a whole pack of them here.
All right. And like I said, we'll be doing this multiple times. You know, we'll do some fun ones in the future. So I really appreciate this one, and you know, let's get the business booming.
Absolutely, dude. Thanks for having me on, dude.
Yeah,
I appreciate
dude.
it.
Of course, we gotta collaborate.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
heck yeah, man.
I'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Peace.